Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Talk to Me Toast. It's the very first episode of the year, so felicitations are in order. Happy New Year, guys. Thank you guys for listening even into a new year. This is our third anniversary at this point because 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, I don't even know anymore. Like, you guys have been here. So shout out to you guys. And today I had to bring a bright light to start the year. I couldn't just start the year anyhow. I couldn't just pop in here anyhow, willy, what was the expression? So I have a very special guest who is near and dear to my heart. She's first and foremost my friend. When I started to introduce her, she was giving me all sorts of description. I said, first and foremost, she is my friend, my sister. She also happens to be an author, a community builder, a purpose coach. It's not easy. It's not easy to be this person. She is super talented. She's done a lot of different things, and we're going to get into it. But I just knew that having a Michele or Duton in our midst will inspire us. You see, she's already coming with guest speaker energy. Emi said, glory. Because
I've never heard that surname said like that in a while. My surname is always like my maiden name. So now that I'm hearing it for the first time, like formally, God is good.
I'm so honored to have the opportunity to introduce you in such capacity. So welcome, Emi. How are you doing?
So happy New Year, Toes, and thank you so much for having me. It's such a joy to speak with you. Always, always lively, always good times, memories, and I'm just so happy to be on Talk with Toes. I've been dreaming about it. I'm here, first guest.
I feel like it's overdue because I feel like me and you, we always have these conversations that are so profound. Yeah. And in retrospect, I feel like we should have been recording them. So this is our opportunity now to have a conversation that is documented, not just for us, but for other people. Because I just when I think back to the excessive milestones in my life, milestones in your life, I think about the conversations that we had around those times. And I'm just like, wow. Wow.
A long way, and I'm just glad that we've grown together, we're supporting each other.
Yes.
I'm just grateful to God for everything, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm going to start us off very lightly.
Yeah.
And just ask, how is married life treating you?
Married life.
You're even laughing. You're laughing like a married woman. I'm sorry. You're laughing like a married woman.
Married life, I wouldn't say it has been easy, but it's been fun all the way. And that's because of the person I'm doing it with. It's been, first of all, before my husband, he's my friend, right? So it's very easy. I don't still believe I'm married. Most times I talk to him, I'm like, I can't believe that, I'm actually in this season. But it's been joyful. I have had enough support. I've had the best time. Time is just going. I'm like, what's going on? How am I already this month into my marriage and everything? Yeah, it's been great.
That's amazing. Like you said, it feels like your wedding was just yesterday. Like, I remember being at your bridal shower. In fact, forget even your bridal shower. I remember you dragging me because I was not able to fly for the wedding.
I'm not dragging now. I'm very understanding,
If you say so. But yeah, I agree that time has kind of flown in that sense. And I like that you kind of worded it that you're in this season now because you've been through seasons, right? Just following your journey. I think when I just met you, you were doing Meso Eats.
Our food days, Sophie.
Our food days. You were doing Meso Eats. So let's start from there. Let's actually start from there because there's parts of your story before that I will still get into when we talk about your book. Okay. But let's actually start from because you understand what I mean. Let's arrange it in the order that people will digest it. So talk to me about starting Meso Eats, what that was, why it happened, everything with that. Just gist me about Meso Eats.
Yeah, Meso Eats was business that started in 2015, and I feel like my life, everything that I've done till date, as one way or the other, been ordained by God. And not just ordained by God, it has brought destiny relationships to my life at every point. So I haven't had to struggle per se. even when it comes to business, even when it comes to relationships, I've not had to struggle. How Meso it started was I've had this dream to start a food business since 2011 when I was still in school. But because I went to McMaster and because I was in school, I was just like, it's stressed to start a business. How would I go about,
Yeah.
promoting, marketing? How would I go about food packaging? Who would buy from me? All that yada yada. So I'm just like, I'll just keep this business idea till like when I'm done school and figure it out. But it turned out that I in 2015 I graduated from university for my bachelor's degree, and then I started working at Rogers. I was working at Rogers with also my friend Richard, who happened to be my business partner. So we went to school together. We did 4 year together. We did most of our group projects together, and we ended up in the same company. And I felt that that was destiny. And one day, he just during lunch break at work, he just said that he had a business idea that he's into fitness and he knows that I love food, and he wants us to like collaborate and do something together where we're providing healthy versions of Nigerian food to people. And I'm just like, I hadn't told him about my business idea. I hadn't spoken about it. But the fact that he came to meet me, it was very level minded. He already had like the business plan, everything. So I'm just like, "Sis, look at God." So we literally spoke every lunch break. We actually had business meetings to think how we start this business, how we go from there. And he's also into marketing. Richard, by the way,
Mm.
it was from England, so he had like gendered accents. So I'm like, what, that's your niche. So all our customers, you want to take out the calls, war customers to us. Like people will hear your accent and will just want to buy food. So me, I just need to be back end. So I like this is going to work. Like, gee, this is game plan. And so we literally had that idea, worked on our website together because we also study computer science. We're very good. We're very hands-on people. So we worked on the website together, took pictures. It was challenging taking pictures, trying to make sure the quality was good, but we had a lot of buy-in. And then we started our business, which ran from 2015 till 2017. So
Yeah.
that had to stop for two main reasons. One was 2017, I had to go do my master's in a different location, London, Ontario. And then I was the one doing the cooking. I was thinking of outsourcing, but I was also very skeptical on who I outsource my food to, thinking of quality, product, customer expectation, and brand and everything. So I decided to pause, and I had a bigger plan for Meso 8. Meso 8 was not just meant to be just delivering on Saturdays or like a food catering business. I still have a big plan for Meso 8. My name might change, but my end goal is to make something more like a social hub. So a place where most times when you go to Nigerian restaurants, you just buy food and
Mm.
nobody really does like their events in a Nigerian restaurant. So I'm trying to have like this like a social hub where people can come for comedy night, people can play games and eat, and it will just not just be Nigerian food, but also like Afrofusion, Asian.
Yeah.
But it's a long term plan. I'm not rushing myself. I'm letting God will be done, but that's still a desire that I'm still building up the plan. But yeah, so Meso it came, learned, but I had to stop that for other pursuits that God was calling me to.
Or yeah. No, that's a very interesting story, and I think like you pointed out something that I actually want to. We might come back to and talk about more of the day to day Meso eats
Mm-hmm,
because I know a lot of people in my audience like are starting side hustles or thinking of doing things like that. So I would actually love to
mm-hmm,
kind of delve into more of the specifics and like get advice there. But
mm-hmm,
I don't want to lose track of something very important that you touched on. So you talked about like how people just like come to you, right? Like
mm-hmm.
there's like at every point of your journey there'll be people that God has kind of brought into your life,
Yeah.
and I know this to be true, like from the pieces of the story I know, but you've also I didn't know this story about like you and Richard going to school together, going to
Yeah.
work together, and thinking during your lunch break and coming up with this thing.
Mm-hmm,
So all that's rambling to say or to ask, how do you choose the people that you then work with? Like what's I imagine that there's some spiritual elements to that, like for
mm-hmm,
you, but then you can talk about that, but
mm-hmm.
also like just in terms of like um what kind of strategy thinking are you putting into these things? Like how do you determine like, okay, this is a good partnership, this is a good partner, this is a good person that I
Mm-hmm.
want to work with?
Yeah, for me, how I decide, first of all, yeah, the spiritual aspect, pray. But then again, I feel like at every point in my life, I always have strategic discussions with people, even as friends. So, one way or the other, one idea will pop up, and then I see how the person, marinates that idea or brings it out, flashes it out. I believe that I don't know everything. So most times when I partner with someone, I want someone that complements what I can
Mm,
bring to the table. I'm not looking for someone that's like that is like me. I'm looking for someone that complements me and we can create like a dream team. So most times I'm looking for people that okay, I have an idea. Most times I always have ideas, but I don't know how to move it forward. And the people that
mm,
have come into my life, I've been able to say, "Oh, Amy, I got you. I know this is and it's not just telling me they got me and everything, but actually seeing them execute. Execution is big for me. So it's even in the small things. I see commitment. I see, this person is not there for just what I can give them. Because most times I don't give anything. It's just more of this is what, and they just show me things. This is who you can meet. This is who you can leverage. And I keep praying about it, have peace about it, and then we draw up a business plan, a contract, and if it's meant to be, if I see commitment, I see passion. I think commitment,
mm.
passion, and it's someone I can not just work with, but I can also be friends with. I like being home with the people I work with. So most of the people I've worked with have not just been business partners; they've been my friends, my core friends. So it's very easy to. I know sometimes people say don't mix friendship with business and all that thing, but I cannot work with anybody that I cannot bring in because I'm a very vulnerable
Yeah,
person. I'm a very we are doing this together. I don't want it to be like this is your own. You take 50%, I take 50%. I want to see that as a friend too, we're able to come together and create like
yeah.
something bigger for the people that we're serving.
I totally respect that, and I think like at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time with this person,
Yeah,
right? Like you're going to be having calls at funny times of the day,
yes,
right? You're going to be, taking your own personal time, like on top of like we've not even touched on the fact that you do work 9 to 5, right? Like
yes, I do.
so like you are like it's not something that you're necessarily obligated to do. Like you are doing it of your own volition. So you might as well be
Hmm.
doing it with somebody that you would be spending time with regardless, even if
Yeah.
you didn't have work to do. So I definitely understand that. So okay, when did this foodie thing now start for you? Because you're telling me that you were thinking of doing a food business in 2011. That means you don't like food, you've been liking food for a
I've
time.
been cooking since when I was 4 years old, and I'm
Oh,
not even
wow.
lying. Like because I'm the firstborn, and then in my house, I think my mommy used to beat me when I could not light matchstick, or when I could not cut, plantain. You have to cut it. My mommy cuts her plantain is like the oblong way. I used to cut it circular. She said, no, you have to hold the knife like this. So I've literally been in the kitchen all my life. So I'm seeing my
Mm,
parents, my mom cook. I to be quite honest, this is something I don't like telling people, but I never really had a child in that sense. I never really watched cartoons like that.
oh,
It's
wow.
hard. Like my sisters and my brother, they are in the living room watching cartoons, movie, but me, I'm in the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen there washing plates, cutting fish, doing something. So literally, my childhood was spent cooking. If I'm not cooking, I'm eating out. I was always taking out to eat. I was trying different food. So I just had that flair for food and yeah, all that came with it.
So basically, you were the stereotypical firstborn daughter.
I know. Yeah, I was.
But like, okay, so how do you feel like being that firstborn? Like, do you think that a lot of the things you do now, because from everything you said, there's a lot of discipline, there's a
Yes,
lot of commitments, there's a lot of initiative that you've
yes,
taken, right? Do you feel like that has anything to do with being a firstborn daughter and all the things you have to do at home?
absolutely. Being a firstborn made me grow up quick. Grow up
Mm,
quick in a sense whereby I didn't have to make certain mistakes because I was not thinking just for myself, but I also thought of people that came after me. I was able to think. I'm like, I don't want to be the black sheep. I have to because the way I live my life, unconsciously my siblings will follow suit. So I had
yeah.
to think quick, and because I was the firstborn, I was always either with my mom or somebody will take me out. And most times I was with older people. I heard their conversations. I heard the way they spoke. I was never with like people of my age. So I was literally when people are talking about relationship, talking about so many things. I'm there just you're dropping on their conversation. I'm just like, okay, this is how it's done, and of course, so it created this paradigm in my mind. I was like, this is how to live, this is how to do life, and made me disciplined. So coming here, I was first person that came to Canada in my family
Mm.
before my parents even did. I don't know how the Canada idea just dropped in my mind since when I was 8. So since when I was 8 years old, I've been preaching I want to school in Canada. It was so bad that even because normally all my siblings took jam in when that time came. But it was so bad that I didn't take jam because I already knew that I was going to come to Canada. And my parents were very pissed at me because they felt like, okay, what will happen if you not
What if it doesn't work
enter
out?
Canada? What would happen? But I was just so sure that Canada was for me, and here I am, right?
Thank God,
So
because
yeah,
it's so funny. I had the same thing with my mom where I
yeah,
didn't know it was going to be Canada, but
hmm
I knew that nobody was going to keep me inside the four walls of Nigeria. Like,
Nigeria, to be honest,
so
yeah.
when it was time to write, I will jam, but when it was time to write NECO, my mom says I absconded. My mom said I just simply didn't tell her like what was like I
Yeah.
once I was done with my work. So for those of you who are in Nigeria or who didn't grow up in Nigeria, like the way you have like SATs in America or like IGCSEs in the UK, in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, there's like a number of exams you do when you're finishing school if you want to
Mm-hmm.
get into Nigerian university. So there's the why technically it's called like WASCI,
Mm-hmm.
but we call it WAEC, which is like West African Examination Council, right? So there's that exam that is kind of compulsory. And then there's JAM and NECO, which are both more optional, I would say. And those are all the exams that you need to enter school enter a Nigerian university. But for us, we were like, toodles.
Peace out.
We're not writing these exams. No, but I feel you. I think like sometimes like it's so funny because I feel like for a lot of us like that have more of an entrepreneurial streak as well, like we
Yeah.
just know. And I think entrepreneurship is something that for a lot of us you have from when you're young in you and like it's part of who you are. And even when you do take on a 9 to 5, you are approaching it with a very entrepreneurial mindset, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like you just have that like guts feeling like of like sharp instincts. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know where I need to be. I'm not
Be.
going to, waste any time. I'm just going to go for what I want. And
If I feel like pick myself back up and you know
yeah,
things will happen. Yeah.
no, there's literally someone I need to literally send this piece of the conversation to because I was literally just having conversation with someone yesterday. I was like, yeah, like sometimes you just know that it's a ridiculous decision, but you make it
Mm-hmm.
because you know that that's where you're going and you know that that's what's right for you. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you fail, you pick yourself back up because that's kind of how life
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So speaking of failure, now let's act like we're in an interview. Tell me about a time that you failed and
Mm-hmm.
how you handled that.
Mm-hmm. When I think of failure, like I've failed in different things, but I think one failure that still stands out to me up till today was actually, I know I would sound like an academia right now, but I was actually failing um GMAT because I was trying to do my masters. I was actually failing
Yeah.
GMAT. I had having to take GMAT 5 times before I could enter or do my
Wow.
master's program. That was a real test of it because I'm someone that I pride myself of being very smart. Like all of us in my family used to get A+. That's where we. So coming into taking GMAT, and the first one I passed, I got like a 640, but that was a mock exam. So after the mock, I got this now 640 because most of the top schools took 600 and above. So after that, I'm like, okay, I got this. Took the second one and I got like a 480. Just like, wait, what? So, took the second one and I got like a 520. And because I told myself, okay, that was higher than the first one, I applied with 520. And
Mm,
I applied to 5 schools. Only 2 schools got back to me with conditional offers. One school got back to me with like a full offer, and that was like McMaster. But I already told myself that I was not going to, my was like my last choice, so I was not going to do my master's where I did my undergrad. So the
yeah.
other school that gave me a conditional offer, I had to retake the GMAT. And I already declined. At that point, I don't know what's wrong with me. Because I had a timeline to accept or decline. I already declined McMaster. So right now, I had only one option for masters. And I took the GMAT two other times and I got less than 520. And at this point, at this point was it was really very mentally draining for me. It was bad that when after I took because once you take your exam, you see your score. So going to an exam center, once I saw my score, I was trying to take the bus back home. And see how the devil works. I literally was walking through the bridge, and it all just came to me to just jump down the bridge and just take my life. Because I don't know, like why would I be taking it? Every time you take the exam, you pay like $380 for one exam, and you have to wait for like a 1 month period after you get your exam to retake it. So it was just like time was going, and I was just like, the last time I took it, I had to take it in Nigeria because I had to go for my mommy's 50th birthday, and I just had a short timeline. I took it in the worst conditions. A 4 hour exam took like New Nigeria. It took like 7 hours to write it. It took like I just like and that was the last time I could take GMAT. And that was like my cap. Anyways, I took it in Nigeria and I got a 580, which was definitely higher than
I
the one I submitted. I submitted a 520, submitted a 580, and hope for the best, man. And to God be the glory, they got back to me. They told me that they've never done this before, but because of the
Oh
strengthening of
wow.
my transcript from school, and they'll take me. That's how I did masters. Oh. But I learned a big lesson there because I knew a lot of people that took them, and up to today they've not gone for masters because most of the schools required it, and it was just like it was looking tough. But I had to persist to take that GMAT, and I went to I went to Ivy, and I have three of my closest friends were
From Ivy.
from Ivy, and my relationship with my husband now. Of course, we started talking. We were friends before I went to Ivy, but our relationship solidified when I was in Ivy. If we because was working in London at that time. If I didn't go to Ivy, I don't think we would have been as close as we are now. I don't even think we would have been married. So sometimes destiny calls, and that's where my life has been. And once you feel that God to keep at it, no matter
Yeah.
how long you feel, just keep at it, and God will help you. Like His time is not our time, but nothing is impossible with Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number one note is go to Ivy meet husband. Let me just write.
I beg go. Teach you
That's
go.
the key takeaway from everything you said is go to Ivy meet your husband.
Oh,
Um
Nana.
no, but I think like that's such an amazing story, right? Like
Yeah.
I did when I asked you that question, I thought you were going to say something like very like light-handed, but like that was like actually like
Yeah.
real stuff because there's times where like I think as people, like when we plan our lives and we're like, okay, like this is exactly what I want and this is where I'm headed, and like it can get so consuming, right? Because you're like,
Yes.
this is my goal, you're fixated on it. It's like you said, there's people that would just like quit and be like, I can't do this thing.
Yeah.
And then, there's other people that get so fixated on it and it breaks them because it's
Yes.
like, why isn't this thing working out for me? Like there's
Yeah.
people that could have been in your shoes and wouldn't have even applied with the 580,
Yeah.
right? Because they've already told themselves no. So I think there's just so much to kind of take from that story because I feel like you just really, pushed through.
Pushed through. Yeah, that was
Like
it.
that's like the key thing in that story is like you pushed through. Like it wasn't like a thing of like a failure where you could just go back and re-strategize. Right? Like it was going into the first exam you studied. Going into the next one you studied. So it wasn't a thing of like you telling yourself, oh Amy, you have to study. No, it's like
Yeah.
you've
And you
been
don't even know what
studying.
you got wrong. So it's like you're studying, you're not sure. Because the thing about GMAT is every question you get right, the next question will be harder.
Right.
So it's like a computer adaptive exam. So you're not even sure which one is you if you're getting the right
Yeah.
question. And it was just like a whole mental mess. But to God be the glory.
Nah, I'm happy for you. I'm really happy
Yeah.
for you. Like I think like it's just so impressive. And I think it goes back to that spirit, right? Of just like
Yeah.
being that entrepreneurial person that is very like, this is what I want, these are my goals. I have to get it, right? And I think it's inspiring as well, just like the way you were able to almost just maintain your goal through the whole thing. Like beyond just, I need to just keep taking this GMAT. It was like you actually had standards. You were like, I'm not going to mark. And it's ridiculous when you say it now, but at the time it was like you didn't let that define you, right? Like you didn't let it be like,
Yeah.
like I failed and this is what I deserve. It was like, no, like I failed, but I can try again.
I literally was in a very hard knock situation because I had a contract job at Rogers, you're going to give me a full-time job at Rogers for what for like move my contract to a full-time. And I declined it because we hoped that I would start school in January. So I didn't have a job at this point. I didn't have school, but I'm just like, God, you have to show up because if I didn't get into school, I would have to apply for a job. I just don't know what was going to happen. I'm like, because my mind was already, once I think about something, I already feel like I can do it. So my mind is already set
Yeah.
that this is what it is. Yeah.
So if you
It's
had to
good.
go back, if you had to go back, knowing everything that you know now, knowing that it worked out in the end, knowing how many tries it took you, would you have done anything differently at that time?
Would I have done anything different? I don't like no, I don't think so. I just felt like it was more of a learning experience for me. I
Mm,
won't change anything because I think I did all the things I needed to do. I contacted people. I every time I was writing the exam, I told the admissions team. But one thing I learned, it was more of learning. I think one thing I learned was just be patient. I was more patient. I was more. It made me realize that life is not as rosy as in as much as you do A B C does not mean you'll get D.
yeah,
Sometimes you life will come at you. you and it's not like you're the worst of persons for you to experience certain things. Things just happen, and it's just a test of character, a test of you're
mm,
going through life. It's not because you did not dot all your eyes or cross all your t's. It's just life. So
sometimes
it made
yes.
me, yeah, it's just something that you have to realize that you cannot, because most times we live in a microwave generation that we want things to happen just like this, like quickly. But sometimes you will have to go through detours and you just have to persevere through it and trust. Sometimes we trust our own ability, but we have to trust God in every situation that if you have a word, you have peace, you have assurance in His word. I come from that from a biblical standpoint just because that's my background and I've seen how that has strengthened my resolve, my faith, my life. It will happen in due time. One thing that I didn't even know that would happen was also me getting married. I was just like, with this marriage thing, I'm looking at like God is good. Once you live by His principles.
God is very good because Tosi had called it. Tosi had called it. Ah,
The time you called it, there was nothing. I'm being serious. The time you told
let me just you guys. Let me give you guys gist. This Amy babe, I asked Amy a very pointed question. I said, "This Mr. Oduto, is there anything you want to tell me? Is there anything you want me to know?" Amy said, "Oh no, why? Hmm. Come to find out, a few months after, I don't
a
know how
few
many
months
months
after.
after, but a few months.
It was in June that you asked me about that because I think I
Mm-hmm,
posted him on his birthday.
mm-hmm,
And by November,
you were
boom.
engaged.
And you're just like, when you messaged me, I just rolled my eyes like, you guys stop this. At the time you messaged me, there was nothing. Trust
Okay,
me.
sure. If that's what we're saying, if that's the story we're sticking to, no worries.
We thank
But
God.
yeah, I'm very happy for you. I'm very, very
We
happy for
thank
you. I feel
God.
like your life just like has continued to trend in a very positive direction.
Mm.
And I feel like a lot of the same principles that you've applied, you know, have been consistent in all the different phases. So speaking of life and speaking of principles, I tried to do a segue. Do you know where I'm going?
Yeah.
Let's talk about living a meaningful life.
Living a meaningful life. How right there.
Living a meaningful life.
That's
So,
literally the summary of my life, living a meaningful life.
mm,
And in as much as I tried, like, living a meaningful life started off as first of all, as a blog, and then transitioned into a book, and then a community. First of all, before the blog, it was a slogan I've had since when I was 18. I just had like I want to live a meaningful life, and
yeah,
even after I was done school, when I was trying to start a blog, I hadn't had it. I didn't have a job yet. I started a blog, but I didn't know what I wanted to call it. The only thing I knew about starting a blog, I knew what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about purpose. I wanted to talk about because I found my purpose very early. Like when I was 18, I knew that I've been called to like everybody did not grow up in families that I grew up in. A lot of people have dysfunctional families, and once you have a dysfunctional family, it's very hard for you to have a solid, concrete, positive idea about life and what you're called to do. So I've read so much. Miles Monroe was I will not call him my idol, but I drank Miles Monroe. I've listened to Miles Monroe. Like I don't think anybody cried as much as I did when he passed on. But he's a legend, so he still is really. But I think I could preach Miles Monroe, but I had to tell myself that I'm not Miles Monroe. So it was that deep. So I think when I started living a meaningful life, as a blog, I was talking about about how to find your purpose, how to make the right choices, different things, and then it's so funny. I'm going to bring Tosi into this question again. Anyways, and then think I should also say because it's actually right now I'm just also in a gratitude zone because
Mm.
3 months into starting my blog in 2015, God laid it on my heart to turn my blog into a book. But first of all, knowing that I I am not a writer. I study computer science. I'm more of a math person. I'm not a writer. They used to beat me when I was small because I was the only one that I did not read books. My siblings were reading book. I'm initially is cooking. So it's not like I used to read. So I was not like a book person. But God told me to turn my blog into a book. And this is just 3 months in. But one thing that has followed me all through my life, I'm a very consistent person. So once I started my blog, I made sure that even though I post at least once a month, and even though I don't have a post to put, I'll repost another person's content. It doesn't have to be my own content. So I was consistent. So when God told me about it 3 months into my blog, I literally just swept the idea to the side and did nothing with it. I'm just like, bro, I don't think that's good. Shasha, 2015, move fast forward to 2018. By 2018, no, sorry, by 2017, no, fast forward to 2017. By 2017, I've been writing on my blog consistently for 2 years. 2017 came, um, you know how God just sends people into your life at different seasons. 2017 came, and one faithful Sunday, I don't even know what happened. I entered church, and Sophie is here, and she's just like, "Oh, that did I see something on Eva Lindsay?" And Eva Lindsay, I don't even know how she knew that I knew Eva Lindsay, to be honest, or how I listened to Eva Lindsay. I really don't know. But she just came to me and said, "Oh, that Eva Lindsay opened up a publishing company, and or like she's taking in people to write books." And I literally have not told anybody about book. I just was just something. So when Tosin said it, I'm like, okay, for real? I'm like, okay, send me the link. Me not thinking anything about it. Oh. That's how I saw a webinar. I followed up with the link Tosin sent me, and I saw a webinar from Heather and Cornelia saying that they were having a how to write your book in publish your book in 90 days. I went for that webinar. After I went for that webinar, 3 months later, I was in an Uber and I just had a flash of myself giving, um, speaking to live audiences and like speaking to students, speaking to organizations and giving speeches. And God said, if you don't do this, I'll give this to someone else. Hey, that was just like a light bulb moment to me. And once that happened, I literally contacted um the person that Tosin the link that I followed up with the link that Tosin sent to me. I asked them how much it cost to write a book, and at this point I've not written a book. But once I paid my first, I paid the first installment. That's how I literally took everything that I'm written in my blog, and it,
Right from
it
there.
just became a book. One way or the other, and to God be the glory, living a meaningful life as a book came into play 2018. Thanks to all the destiny relationships God put on my path to him being one of them. I'm being
Oh,
serious for real.
yeah.
And that came to light. So my first book was published by Valencia's company, Lynn Cross. And then after that I felt like a book life is not a one size fits all, you know. I cannot what happens in my life. I because most of the things I shared in the book was mostly my life experiences. Of course, I shared different principles on relationships, on balancing your life, different aspects of your life, and everything. But I felt like it was more of a forum. I need to create a forum whereby we talk about these things, and it's just not a book. Hear other people's experiences, see how we can help them, and provide people with resources, to grow and support each other as we go through life. We're adulting. This is something that we've not done before. But I also wanted to put people that were in the same space, even young adults that were in the same space, also accomplishing things. So people don't think that you have to be 40, 50 to make a difference, but you can make it even while you're young. So, and that's how living meaningfully as a community was birthed. And to God be the glory. We've tried. We're still thriving. There's still so much in our works. God has still given us ideas, visions, and yeah, that's how living a meaningful life as a whole has been till date.
That's amazing. That warms my heart so much because I just feel like I'm a prophet. So I'm a prophet.
So
I'm
you guys,
serious.
you guys see how Tosia has been involved in my book and in my partner, my husband. Well, it is well. Let me know the next thing that your God is telling you to come and tell
See,
me.
maybe it's my nieces and nephews. Maybe that's my next assignment. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Let's just be watching because at this point, what I'm carrying me, I don't even know.
You don't know. We really don't know. But it's just, keep pouring your light to other, and that's why I keep preaching. No matter how much, because most times we are concerned with me, what I want to accomplish and everything. But sometimes God gives you ideas, not for yourself, but for other
Yeah,
people. There's no how many things can you accomplish, but how many things? Well, just think of an idea you can give somebody, and somebody will tell you, because of this person, I am this person, right? So it's better to light up other candles as opposed to be just the only candle that lights up, and then
yeah.
let your legacy live on. Yeah. So thank you, Tos.
I love that, and I
Yeah.
think for I'm very, very like, and I say this like, real talk for a second. Like, I'm very, very thankful to have even gotten to like, I feel like you're very fertile soil. So, in any way that I've been able to like, kind of sow into your life, I mean, it's vice versa. Like, if we, start to get into it, right? Like, but, in any way that means add any kind of value to your life, like, I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Like, and I don't, say that lightly as well. So,
Yeah.
it really warms my heart because there's times that like I'm one of those people where like I love seeing people build. Like that's a lot of things I'm doing right now
Yeah.
are because of that.
Yeah.
And so I tend to be one of those people that when anybody's trying to do anything, right, they call Tosin because Tosin can give them some kind of guidance. And I love that.
Market
But
time.
what I've seen
This is my marketer,
is
first of all. This is my extraordinary marketer. If I have anything, any idea, just in this idea, how can we market this thing? And Tosin will just bam, 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 bam. This is what you do. This is what you do.
you know what's so funny is I have a question for you that is in line with marketing. So that's actually hilarious. I just said that. But
Continue your story. Continue. Be serious. Be serious. This is podcast. Let's be official.
I was trying to be professional. Emi, please. I'm a professional podcaster.
Now you know.
I can't remember what I was saying. But yeah, oh no, I remember. I was saying that, there's sometimes that like with certain people, like, you do that kind of work and you like maybe say a few things, share thoughts, exchange ideas, but those things don't really go far. And I don't fault anybody for that because executing is not easy. Yeah. But I find that you are one of those people that like you execute. Like one thing about Emi, she's going to execute. And it's just so beautiful to see things that were once a conversation become a reality, right? Like I can't explain to you how happy you made me when I saw your book launch. And like I literally remember the pen you had when you signed my copy. Very much an exciting moment, just being there celebrating the book launch. And even beyond that, right? Like I remember I went to Nigeria and I went to Roving Heights and your book was on the shelf.
Oh snap!
And I was just like, that's my person, and it just to be too. Like I actually recorded your book on the shelf. Wow. No, it's like it's just so exciting to be able to see you do all these things, like blaze all these trails and just like be yourself authentically, right? Yeah. And I'm very, 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 very proud of you. Like I'm actually very proud of you. Like you're just one of those people that like you get things done. And I think one thing that's also consistent about you, Emi, is you care about people. And it's not just something you preach, because a lot of your message is about people and about caring and stuff like that. But it's something that you live, right? Like all the people that come and like pour into the things that you're doing and work with you, like you care about them. You're intentional about those relationships. Like you invest in people, you spend time with people, like you do all those things. And, I find that a lot of times when you volunteer for stuff, like it can just become such a daunting exercise. But I feel like for you, like when you bring in people to work with you, like you're very, very mindful of, I don't want this to be daunting. I don't want this to be like, something that you regret doing, right? Like, and I think that that's just so, so, so beautiful.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the book rollout, right? Because I feel like that was a very like a huge milestone for you, like your book launch. So how did this blog that turned into a book, that turned into a community, end up on shelves? Like how were you able to get the book
Oh,
in
I
people's hands?
see. Okay, so I think there are two parts to, or I did my research, but I found out there are two parts to book writing. There's the writing of the book, and there's the marketing of the book. The book is not just going to sell itself. So as I was writing the book, once I finished writing the book and sent to the book publishers, because I didn't self-publish. Once I sent to the publishers, I started researching on book distribution, book marketing, how to not just yeah, word of mouth to your friends, that's it. But how can you still make, like, up to date, I make passive income. My book still sells in different distributions, knowing that I had a lot of ideas. So mine was getting it into doing book launches, personal ones, and also trying to get into stores, like local stores here and local stores back home. Just because that's where I went. I normally went to Nigeria at least every December or something. So I contacted. I had a mailing list of different bookstores to contact. Of course, some people will tell you that the type of books that they need on their shelves and everything, but I took it on myself to write emails to different companies and telling them that I want my book in their store for distribution. Of course, I had to sign contracts with all the different companies. But also another thing I did was more of, I knew that people, like our generation, most people don't just want to read physical books again. So I had ebooks, but one thing I had to do, which was, it was challenging, but God also sent someone to me. I had to do an audiobook. So I have an audiobook book for Living a Meaningful Life. And the audiobook came a year after. And that was not recorded by me because I felt like, and another thing that I was struggling to, like, do I really want to record this book? And something about me, one of, like, I talk very fast. So I had a challenge saying I want to record by myself. I'm just like, I know that I need an audiobook, but do I want to do it? But God sent someone to me. Like, this was also a relationship I had, and he offered to go to the studios to record for me. So the Living a Meaningful Life audiobook is recorded by um one of my big brothers. His name is Irezi, and he recorded that, and that also, I think the audiobook to date is still the one that's listened to the most. So if I skip that portion, I won't have had the growth I've had with Living a Meaningful Life. I still feel like I can do more marketing. Even this year, this is a good time to even market the book. Goal setting. People are trying to figure out their life right now, start of the year. But I feel like that was those things. I'm trying to distribute my books to different places. Gave Living a Meaningful Life a traction. Aside just that, also starting a community, knowing that even when we have events, we sell the book. So trying to put the books in people's faces was also something that made the book not just a one-time thing. It's still something that's living. It's still something that's active. Even no matter, even as I'm writing other books, even a meaningful life is still dear to my heart because not just being my first book, but just the fact that the testimonials that have come in, like, it's a book for everyone. It's not just a book for young adults. It's a book for everyone. It's just about life, and it's very relatable. I'm not using big grammar. This is me just as a non-writer that I am, that God just used to say, okay, I want to pour. Because sometimes when I'm reading my book, I'm like, huh? Is this me that wrote this thing? Because it doesn't feel like it is me. So I'm just grateful that I was a willing vessel and I was able to execute. I think that's where things stand.
I love that. So let's talk a bit about just like this knowledge economy that we're in. I keep saying that to make myself feel smart.
Yeah.
Knowledge economy. But when it when it's time,
Yeah.
where knowledge is valuable, right? Knowledge has
Yeah.
always been valuable, but like I think like there's this added value from how fast the world is moving
Yeah.
and people just being able to versus waiting and like doing as much research as they once did to just access like curated and consolidated information. Like that's a
Yeah.
huge thing. And you talked about like passive income. So what advice would you say that you have for someone who is looking to, start developing passive income like that? Like
Mm.
how would you like, it doesn't have to be like how to go about it. It can just be a mindset thing. Like, what if you were talking to somebody that was in that space? Like, well, in fact, you are talking to somebody that's in that space because
Mhm.
now I've created a course.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
give advice to people that are trying to just make that kind of income.
So, thinking about marketing, there are different types of marketing. There's one where you tell word of mouth marketing, which is great, where you tell people about, okay, this is what you have. There's also experiential marketing, right, where you give people like a taste of what is, and of course, there's referrals and everything. The one that works the most is referrals. Experiential marketing is also very good. Word of mouth, great, but I think referrals and experiential, where people taste what, and when they taste um, what they want, you always make sure they have a wow effect. Meaning that the experiences you give them is much more than what they expected. That way, they trust your product. So if you're meant to, let's say you sell something, you have a course right now, and the course. So most times people just give a snippet of the course, but if you give them something very tangible that would make them like if they already feel like they've done the whole course, and they are more willing to like, wow, I was able to get this for free. They're more willing to invest in the full course. And when people that have tasted your product, even not just people that have done the full thing, people that have done experiential, reach out to them to tell them, please can you refer this course, talk about it, because word of mouth referrals are what works. It's not just there's only so much you can market yourself. People would your friends will believe you and everything, but people that don't know you cannot reach the people that you don't know. And the only way you can reach people that you don't know is through other people. So you have
Yeah.
to, and of course, we have to do the groundwork. The groundwork is trying to get at least first of all, reach our own base, trying to promote as much as possible. Promotions are in different forms. You can promote on your social media pages and everything. There's also like paid advertisements. Sometimes we have to invest in the short term for long term gains. So you have to like if it's doing promos on Instagram, promos on sites that you know that are valuable, or speaking to influencers. As I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking to myself because in as much as these are things that I want to do too, but it's just time or different things just take over. But I feel like once we
Yeah.
just flesh those things out, and even though we don't do everything all at once, let's say in month of January, we can focus on just one if it's experiential marketing, just giving people a taste of your product or posting a taste of your product online and then seeing how people react to it. Um, it's a way to build. I think consistency. One thing about people is you can't just say something once. You have to, even when people are not buying or doing it, you have to keep at it. Let them sell yourself. Let people see that there's results. Even when you're not getting results, still sell results. I tell people you have to be able to be
Mm.
marketable. You have to be able to believe in what you have. Because if you don't believe in it, nobody will believe in it. So you have to be able to push that your message forward. It might take a while, but you have to persevere towards that. And when you are in doubt or when you don't know what to do, I feel like you should have two or three people at your side. God has blessed us tremendously. Relationships are key. I know I preach about relationships a lot, but have people on your side that will push you because sometimes this you just feel bleh. You just like, what's the point? You've wasted money, you've done, all this. But once you have people holding you, people that will introduce you to other people that will help you, it's top of mind and you feel that you can actually do something and you feel better with time. In as much as you have to persevere, you will see results with time. So I think the goal right now, I tell people, just keep at it, write your plans, write your goals, how you want to establish what you have, and then you might do a lot of groundwork right now, but in the long run will pay off.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was very profound. Like I got super because I literally took notes.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I need to even just like extract this portion of the podcast and like post it like as a thing that people can read and go back to because you know first of all there's a lot in there like in terms of actual actionable things.
Mhm.
Um, I think like you said okay one key thing you said give people something tangible, right?
Yeah.
And I think like sometimes you don't really think about that element. Like you said, like we think, oh, let me just give a snippet, but it's like no, what value are you delivering at that level that is like, it's almost like you're giving out the thing you've worked so hard to build out for
Yeah.
free, but
So instead of
then it's actually
what
that
yeah.
free thing that is going to draw people in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You've also said like the results, like showing that like results, like even when it doesn't feel like that. I think like that's such good advice.
You're
And
welcome.
you've given me an idea, like just from you saying everything you just said. I literally had to write it down. Giving me an idea for my own course that I'm actually going to execute. And when I execute it
You come
and
and
when it
tell
performs, I will now come back
me.
and tell you that it was
I
this
like it.
conversation. It was
All
this
glory to God.
conversation I could get there
All
from.
glory to God.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That is
No,
going
I
to
love it. No,
Oh God.
I just you are just such a light. Like I think like that word like bright light or that term bright light just so positively or perfectly captures who you are and
Thank
your
you.
essence. And I feel like anybody that like listens to this podcast, they're going to just be able to feel that, right? Like
Yeah.
is unmistakable. Like you can't miss this. Like just who you are as a person, what you believe in, what you live every day. And
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that you came on the podcast, that you had this
Thank
conversation.
you.
I
Thank
like
you.
there's just so much. I feel like every time I thought, oh, this was going to just be like chill, like Amy was like value. You're going to get
Ah,
value. And
thank you.
shout out to you for that
Thank you for
because
accepting my
honestly, like
market.
such a great conversation.
Thanks.
Always see
Thanks.
this marketing of your products. I can now that you're telling me you're writing another book, I'm like, we go again. We absolutely go again.
Before that book comes out, one thing that let me just market here right now is that's coming out soon, very very soon, is my website as well. This one, Toast has gone before ahead of me, but my website is coming out soon as well, and it's just going
Love
to
it.
encapture all that. Like I've done a lot of things, and I felt like I needed a portfolio that encaptures all that I've done and the value that I
Yeah.
bring to the table, and not just I bring to the
Do you
table.
know you're not wrong?
Have
Because sorry, I have to cut you off because I thought you had one.
I
I
don't
actually
have
thought you had one. And I looked it up. I'm not even joking. I
I don't
actually
have
thought this already existed. And I looked it up thinking like it was there. And I was like,
no,
oh wow.
I don't have a
And thank
website.
you for saying that because I was actually going to tell you that Amy, like, what are you doing? We need I don't
It's a
know what you're
process.
calling it.
Yeah. So I
Mm,
have that. So that's coming by God's grace for the end of the first quarter of this year. It should be out. And then
yeah.
it's not just going to be my portfolio, but I'm also going to provide services. So I know courses are not courses not now. If we're God lead, but right now it'll just be more of one-on-one consultations, clarity calls with people, connecting people with
Love
people. I
it.
feel like I want to help people achieve their. I'm very passionate about people understanding their purpose, and most times people think once they know, it's one thing to understand what you're called to, it's another thing to work in it. Most times people have
Yeah.
ideas just sitting down in their mind, but they don't know how to execute because they don't know how to go about it. But I want to like be able to hold people's hands, and not just sometimes most of the things I do is not because I can't do them. I'm a good delegator, I'm a good person, I know how to delegate, I know who to help me. So I think if we have that support, if people have that support and knowing the right people to you know work with, it'll be much easier for all of us to grow together. I feel like I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of me just rising, but I want to actually, I think this year is more of me just hand holding a lot of people as much as I can and pour as much as I can into them. I know that I can only do so much. But like I told you earlier on, I want to at least shed my light to other candles, people that I can see that would, like you said, like a fertile
Yeah.
soil, and then grow, grow things. So that's what is coming up. And as time goes
Yeah.
by, the next book is coming by God's grace before the end of this year too. But yeah, those are two things that are currently in the works.
And we should talk more about the website. At least I've kind
Yeah,
of gone through that journey of like building my website and I
yeah.
know what went into it. So
Don't worry,
like
we'll
I
have
got
our own
you.
private podcast.
Our own private
No,
regroup.
yeah, we'll talk about
No,
that for
no,
sure.
seriously though, I feel
Yeah,
like I know how complicated it can be sometimes to
yeah.
kind of map things out. And I had references as well, like that I
Hmm.
was like, kind of going through anyway. All that
We'll
to say
talk.
that
We'll definitely
let's
talk.
talk
Yeah.
about it. Like I want to see it happen. I want to
Hmm.
help you make it happen. So
Thank you.
let's actually like let's
Yeah.
touch base.
Yeah, we will.
Um And I think in general, like there's so much that you have coming down the pipeline, right? Like you've already
Yeah.
said. And I definitely want people listening to stay in tune with Amy, because follow her on social media. I'm going to put your handle in the description box everywhere, but
Thank you.
like it's Amy Oduton.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
tripping?
No, that's right. It's EMIODUNTAN. EMIODUNTAN on every platform.
Beautiful. Yes. Finally, actually, because I know before, like
Actually, that was
you
my consistent. No, it's
you could
working.
not merge all your platforms.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a season thing. I was waiting
Yes.
for
We
the
love
right
that.
time
So Amy
to come
Oduton on every
on
to
Instagram,
yes.
Twitter,
And
YouTube.
it's worked out. It's worked out very nicely.
Yeah, it did. Thank God.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Amy. I think the network has even started to like break up a bit, unfortunately. But it was still it was still such a great conversation. And I know you and I, as always, will continue the conversation. Just keep talking about all things purpose, all things building, all things entrepreneurship. And just thank you again for coming, because I feel like this was really good. I'm very,
It's
very,
really
very
pure
happy
joy
to have had the
speaking to you,
conversation.
Tosin. It's really pure joy. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier on, all that you've done is just you're just scratching the surface. You too don't even know on the things that you're going to do, but everything I feel like consistency will pay off, even when it doesn't look like it. Keep at it. But you're such a fun, vibrant personality that um with your smile, with your everything, things will come together. And I'm always here for you. You know that. I'm always here to support, promote, to hype you. I don't think I can hype you as much as you hype me, but I'll do a good job in Jesus' name, amen. But yeah, thank you for all that you
Amen.
do.
Thank you, Amy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. I'm going to just tell my private advice to Amy, but bye, y'all.
Mm.